professor of finance, where he has worked in the top prestigious institutes in this country, like the IIM, XLR, XLRI. He has been the ex-director of the Institute of Chartered Accountants. There is too much that can be spoken about him, but I think this should suffice to know, to those who do not know him, that he is an excellent spokesperson who speaks on facts and with vast knowledge. I would request, sir, Gaurav, please. I also would, sorry, we have a chairman here, Baba Amarnath, our spokesperson, and your colleague, ex-colleague, Khandekar Bab, Madhav, and I request Amarnath Bab to kindly welcome.
गौतम गड झाला तुझा नेटवर्क गड झाला.
So, good afternoon to all of you and Sadar Namaskar to all of you. Before I start the formal press conference, I will request Amarnath ji to play a 2 minutes video to set the tone, and thereafter we will address the press conference. Can I request you to have that 2 minutes 20 seconds video, please?
मैंने देखा आप गोवा के घर पर भी थे, वहाँ भी आपने मुद्दा उठाया था कोरोना काल में किस तरह से सरकार वहाँ मिसहैंडल कर रही है. बीजेपी की सरकार नहीं थी, प्रमोद सावंत और चीफ मिनिस्टर थे, वहाँ भी आपने खुलेआम कहा कि there are question marks make BJP government in Goa is handling corona. No, you stick by those comments. Yes, there was charges of corruption. लोगों ने उसको बहुत सपोर्ट किया. जब मैं छोड़ के चला आया हूँ तो 3 मशहूर कॉन्करेंट सिंगर्स ने तो गाना गाया उसको. And there was corruption there also. Of course, there was corruption in the Goa government in the handling of corruption. There was corruption in Goa government in handling of everything. So मैं आप गवर्नर होके आपके ही बीजेपी, क्योंकि आप बीजेपी से जुड़े हैं, आपके मुख्यमंत्री के खिलाफ ये कह रहे हैं, तभी तो मैं हटा दिया गया वहां से. आप कह रहे हैं आपको हटाया गया क्योंकि आपने अपने ही मुख्यमंत्री के खिलाफ करप्शन अगेंस्ट. इसलिए मेरी दिक्कत ये है कि मैं लॉयल हूँ, मैं चरण सिंह जी के साथ रहा हूँ. करप्शन पे मुझे गुस्सा आता है, बुरा लगता है जी. हुआ ये था कि जब जिस दिन वहाँ लॉकडाउन डिक्लेयर हुआ जी, तो सरकार ने कहा कि हम ये खाने पीने की चीजों की दुकान भी नहीं खुलने देंगे और हम डोर टू डोर सर्व करेंगे. Which was impossible. और उसमें कोई कंपनी थी जिसने पैसा दिया था. तो मुझे कांग्रेस के लोगों ने भी, बाकी लोगों ने भी बताया कि साहब ये तस्दीक कर रहा. मैंने तस्दीक की, मैंने प्रधानमंत्री जी को बताया. इन्होंने उन्हीं लोगों से पूछ लिया जो इसमें इन्वॉल्व थे जी, तो कहेंगे नहीं हम ये कर रहे हैं, बट मुझे पता था कि है. फिर इसके बाद एक दौर ऐसा आता है कि जिसमें वो जो एक एरिया है एयरपोर्ट के पास, वहां से इसके ट्रक गुजरते थे खान वालों का, तो उससे वो करता था तो मैंने कहा कि इसको हमेशा इनको बंद कर दो. उन्होंने बंद नहीं किया तो वही कोरोना आया. फिर तो लोग ये कन्विंस हो गए कि हमारी हक की बात कर रहे थे. तो गवर्नमेंट वाज अलाउइंग माइनिंग टैक्स टू गो थ्रू ड्यूरिंग द लॉकडाउन एंड द गवर्नमेंट वाज इन योर व्यू इन्वॉल्व इन करप्शन. नाउ जब आप ये सब बातें कहते हैं, मैंने देखा आप गोवा की गवर्नर भी थे, वहां भी आपने मुद्दा उठाया था कोरोना काल में किस तरह से सरकार वहां मिसहैंडल कर रही है, बीजेपी की सरकार.
So, once again, good afternoon, and I hope you had a very good impression about a 2 minute 20 seconds video which we had played. But before I start, friends, there are 2-3 terms which as a nation we got. Double engine government. Double engine means double engine of corruption, loot at state capitals and corruption and loot at the national capital. So when Prime Minister says double engine, we are seeing double engine. There is a new slogan by BJP government, खुद भी खाऊंगा और दूसरों को भी खाने दूंगा. That is a new slogan, that is the punchline of governance of Modi model. And had you seen honorable governance statement, and I quote, corruption in everything Goa government was handling. Means you name the department, there is a corruption, and this is not what we are saying. Congress was saying for last few years, but this is the governor who was the governor of the Goa who is making this statement. And allowing mining trucks to operate during lockdown turns out to be a super spreader of corona in Goa. And I will give you the reasons. And the fifth point which I will be taking on is the corruption during corona pandemic in the selling basic essential commodities in Goa is a true example of opportunity in crisis. आपदा में अवसर, ये प्रधानमंत्री जी बोलते हैं ना, आपदा में अवसर. Is this the आपदा में अवसर? Is this an opportunity in crisis? प्रधानमंत्री जी बोलते हैं ना खाऊंगा ना खाने दूंगा, या तो मैं खूब खाऊंगा और खूब खाने दूंगा. This is the model which is happening. Prime Minister says double engine government. This double engine means double engine of corruption government. When we say how corona is spreaded in Goa, the honorable governor is giving the reason that when the entire state or when the entire country was under lockdown, at that time also the mining trucks were operating, and because of that the corona got spreaded in the state, and I will give you the reasons for that. Sri Satyapal Malik, please notice friends, he is the governor, current governor of Meghalaya from August 2020 till date. Earlier he was the governor of Goa from October 2019 to August 2020. And before that he was the governor of Jammu Kashmir from August 2018 to October 2019. Wherever he is pointing out the corruption, he pointed out the 300 crore rupees of corruption in Jammu and Kashmir, he was sent to Goa. And he was telling that out of the 300 crore, 150 crore was due to an RSS man. RSS had become a synonym of corruption. Whether it is in Jaipur, whether it is in Jammu Kashmir, whether it is in Uttarakhand, and I am telling you friends, that if you are going to investigate that who are the people who are the mastermind of corruption in Goa, you will find a RSS man. That is my challenge to you. And you know the name of that person. I am not going to tell today. So, Sri Satyapal Malik ji, who happens to be the current governor of Meghalaya, earlier he was the governor of Goa. Before that he was a governor of Jammu and Kashmir. In a TV interview, he had accepted what Congress was telling. What Congress was telling? That there is a corruption in everything what Goa government is dealing with. And that is not my words. That is the words of Satyapal Malik, who belongs to BJP, who was the governor of this state. And he had not stopped here. He said that I had informed PM Modi also about this. He had informed PM Modi that the current chief minister of the Goa, that is the Mr. Property Sawant. Mr. Property Sawant is involved in corruption. But Prime Minister, instead of removing the chief minister and his ministerial colleagues, he had transferred the governor. That is the reason we say, खूब खाऊंगा और खूब खाने दूंगा. That is the reason we say, double engine means the double engine of corruption. In a TV interview, Mr. Malik had made a very shocking revelation, and I will say I am surprised that there is a end point of this corruption. When the entire country was under lockdown, people were dying due to hunger. At that time, Goa government was doing corruption in giving the essential commodities to the people of that state. So what he is telling, that the Goa government had not allowed the stores to sell the basic essentials, but allowed one company to sell basic essentials. door to door, which had given money to Goa government, which is that company we want to ask. When people from Congress told, and this is what Goa governor, ex-governor is saying, that Congress was vigilant at that time also. The Congress delegation went and informed the honorable governor of the state that the corruption, the rampant corruption is going on in the Goa. Then what he's saying, when the people from Congress told me about it, I informed Prime Minister Modi, but instead of removing a corrupt BJP government, he had transferred me. That is the words of the BJP senior colleague of the Prime Minister, a BJP senior functionary, as well as the governor of one of the state of our country. A government involved in corrupt practices in the middle of pandemic is not only illegal, is also inhuman. When people are dying due to starvation, at that time, आप लोगों का राशन खा गए. What kind of corruption is that? And at that time when people were dying due to starvation, people were not having the grains to eat, at that time you are doing corruption. You are not giving ration to the people. I will say this is the corruption at the highest level. Governor Shri Malik had further alleged that the Goa government has allowed mining trucks to illegally operate during the corona pandemic, which turns out to be a spreader of coronavirus in Goa. As per the current data, I am giving you today's data. 1,77,915 people got infected due to this virus in the state of Goa, and 3,358 people died. Who is responsible for this? As per the Honorable Governor, it is the responsibility of the state government of Goa. Because they had not taken due care. They had not taken due precautions. They were hand in glove with the mining mafia. When the entire country is having lockdown, but Goa mining mafia was not having lockdown on that day. जब पूरा देश तालाबंदी में था, उस समय भी गोवा सरकार अपने चुनिंदा दोस्तों की माइनिंग की गाड़ियां आगे करवा रहा था और भ्रष्टाचार फैला रहा था. That is what we want to say. And this is what information the Honorable Governor of the ex-governor of the state is saying. In this regard, we have 5 questions as well as demands from the PM as well as the all other constitutional authorities of the state. Number 1, immediately Prime Minister should dismiss the Chief Minister as well as the entire Council of Ministers of the Goa government. This is our demand number 1. Because they are directly, as per the Honorable ex-Governor of Goa, they are directly involved in the such massive corruption, and that too in the middle of the pandemic. हमारी मांग है, पहली मांग, कि तुरंत प्रभाव से गोवा की मुख्यमंत्री, गोवा के प्रॉपर्टी सावंत साहब को तुरंत अपने पद से बर्खास्त किया जाए और उनके साथ साथ पूरे मंत्रिमंडल को भी, क्योंकि ये ना केवल इलीगल काम किया बल्कि घोर अनैतिक काम किया. जब लोग मर रहे थे बिना रोटी के, उस समय आप उनकी रोटी में करप्शन कर रहे थे. इससे ज्यादा अनैतिक काम नहीं हो सकता. When people were dying because due to starvation, people were not having grains in their houses. At that time, Goa government was doing corruption of grains, corruption in the distribution of the essential commodities. This is our demand number 1. Our second demand is that immediately constitute a time-bound investigation under the direct supervision of a sitting judge of Supreme Court. Because there is a big charge that Goa government is doing corruption in everything. Or these are the 2 examples which Honorable Governor gave. But he is telling whatever you name, they are doing corruption. So we want that immediately there should be a time-bound investigation should be constituted under the direct supervision of the sitting judge of the Supreme Court to find out that in what all areas of governance the Goa government is involved in corrupt practices. Because as per Shri Satyapal Malik ji, he had alleged that corruption in everything Goa government was handling. जो भी काम गोवा सरकार कर रही है उसमें भ्रष्टाचार है, ये माननीय राज्यपाल जी का कथन है. इसलिए हमारी दूसरी मांग है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट के सिटिंग जज की निगरानी में एक इन्वेस्टिगेशन कमिटी होनी चाहिए और टाइम बाउंड इन्वेस्टिगेशन होना चाहिए उसकी। तीसरी डाउट, आवर थर्ड डिमांड, ईडी, सीबीआई, SFIO and other central agencies should be directed to file a case directly against the chief minister of the current chief minister of Goa. Because is the ED CBI only for targeting the opposition leaders? When there is a rampant corruption going on in everything that government is, and ED is silent till now. Why ED had not filed a case suo moto till now? Why CBI had not filed a case suo moto till now? Why SFIO is sitting silent as a spectator? We demand that all the central agencies, all the taxation agencies should immediately file a case against the Goa CM, Mr. Property Sawant, so that we should know, the people of Goa should know that what exactly and what is the amount of corruption which got involved. Corruption is there is no doubt. But we want to know whether it is 10,000 crore or 30,000 crore or 50,000 crore. That is what we are interested in. And not only Goa CM, everybody, because there are some remote controls of the Goa CM. Because as I told you, whether it is Jammu Kashmir or Jaipur or Uttarakhand or Goa, the synonym of corruption is RSS. So who are those people who are involved in this corruption? The CBI should file a case against them, those people also. Our fourth demand and a question to Honorable Prime Minister of the country. PM should come out and answer. आप मन की बात करते हो ना? You should have one मन की बात on this issue. That after having intimation from governor of the state, why you had not initiated any action against the Goa CM? आपके हाथ क्यों बंधे हुए हैं? Why your hands are tied? When Goa governor is saying that there is a rampant corruption and there is whatever Goa government is doing, there is a corruption in it. He is telling I had informed Prime Minister. What Prime Minister had done? We want to ask Honorable Prime Minister that is your model now is खूब खाऊंगा और खूब खाने दूंगा? Is this your model of governance? That in spite of giving the direct evidences as well as the Goa governor himself is saying that the Goa government is involved in corruption, why PM is silent? Why PM had not taken any action against that? Because the Goa government left Goa, I think 10 months back. So what happened to last 10-11 months? What commission you had constituted? What inquiry you had constituted? Point number 5, and this is the last question which we want to ask. When Shri Malik ji had informed PM about the corruption in J&K, he was transferred from J&K to Goa. When he had informed PM about the corruption in Goa, he was transferred from Goa to Meghalaya. Now, is the correct and a proper meaning of double engine government is double engine of corruption? Means double, dugni gati se bhrashtachaar phailao. Because when, if for example, if Prime Minister is aware that there is a corruption going on and if he is silent, what does it imply? What does it imply? It implies that he is also involved in that corruption. Why Prime Minister is silent? When the Goa governor, ex-governor is saying on television that he had informed the Prime Minister about the rampant corruption going on in Goa, what made the Prime Minister to be silent because of that? What was the compulsion? उनके हाथ क्यों बंधे हुए थे? तो बहुत हुई ये ड्रामेबाजी. Now we want that immediately, and I hope by today evening Prime Minister is going to take actions against the Goa government. The entire, not only the property Sawant, the entire Council of Ministers should be dismissed. When the person who is holding a constitutional authority in the state is saying that during Corona pandemic there is a rampant corruption, what else is required? When the Goa governor himself is saying that there was a rampant, and he gave two examples, that in distribution of the basic commodities there is a corruption. There is a corruption because of that the corona virus got spreaded in that state. Who is responsible for the death of these 3,358 people? इनका जिम्मेवार गोवा सरकार है। इन 3,358 लोगों की मौत की जिम्मेवार गोवा सरकार है। Because of the Goa government corruption, because they had promoted the mining activities, they had illegally allowed the mining trucks to move during the lockdown also. That had become a super spreader during the coronavirus. So the person who is responsible, the government who is directly responsible for the death of these 3,358 people is the property Sawan and his government. That is the reason he should immediately be dismissed, because we know that the current government of Goa is not having any morality. If they are having an iota of morality by this time, they might have resigned. But we know they are not having any morality. So they have to be dismissed. हमें ये पता है कि गोवा सरकार के पास नैतिकता का 1% भी अंश नहीं है। अगर 1% भी अंश होता तो कल रात को गोवा के भूतपूर्व राज्यपाल का कथन सुन के अभी तक वो अपना इस्तीफा दे देते, पर अभी तक इस्तीफा नहीं दिया। तो हमें पता है कि उनमें नैतिकता नहीं है, इसलिए उनको बर्खास्त करना पड़ेगा। उनके खिलाफ ईडी सीबीआई की जांच चालू करनी पड़ेगी। सुप्रीम कोर्ट की निगरानी, सिटिंग जज की निगरानी में जांच प्रक्रिया टाइम बाउंड करवानी पड़ेगी, ताकि गोवा के लोगों को पता चले कि ये प्रॉपर्टी सावंत ने कितना भ्रष्टाचार किया है। 50,000 करोड़ का किया है कि 40,000 करोड़ का किया है। गोवा के पैसे गोवा के लोगों का जो एसेंशियल कमोडिटी डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करनी थी उसमें भी खा गए। आप राशन खा गए लोगों का, इससे ज्यादा चोरी क्या कर सकते हो? उन लोगों का, उन गोवा के लोगों का राशन खा गए जिनके घर में उस दिन चूल्हा नहीं जला, क्योंकि आपने as pointed out by the governor of the state, he is telling that the CM had, first of all, after imposing the lockdown, had not allowed any essential commodity shop to be open. And then he hired a private agency to distribute from door to door. And he is telling there is a corruption. He is giving an idea that private company gave money to the government of Goa, to the chief minister of Goa. Why PM is silent till now? So these are our 5 questions as well as demands. साथियों, बड़ा गंभीर, this is a very serious issue, and I hope that even the Prime Minister of our country is listening to what the ex-governor of Goa had mentioned. And when Prime Minister, after listening all these things, if he is silent, it means his office is also directly involved in corruption. That is what we want to say. I am open for questions if you have any on this issue.
Yesterday, the president had said that governor has done a wrong allegation on the CM. Plus, they will complain to the center. What do you like to say about it?
See, governor is a constitutional authority. He doesn't have anything of party and all those things. When a constitutional authority and he belongs to their own party, if he is making these type of challenges, and that too on a national television, and directly he is telling, I repeat and I quote, corruption in everything Goa government was handling. Means, I will translate this in Hindi, गोवा सरकार जो भी करती है, पेन भी खरीदती है ना, इसमें भ्रष्टाचार करती है. That is what the honorable governor had conveyed during a television interview. Why Prime Minister? What is the compulsion to the Prime Minister? That even after knowing that this guy is doing corruption, the property Sawant is making properties after properties. पूरे गोवा में प्रॉपर्टी बना रहा है वो व्यक्ति, उसके लिए आपका क्या ऐसा दिल आ गया? क्या कंपल्शन था? क्यों आप चुप बैठे थे? That is what the entire all citizens of Goa as well as the Congress party wants to know. कि आपका ऐसा क्या आपका उसमें hand in gloves है? क्या उसका कारण है? Not only this, although I am not pointing out here, but in the same interview, the ex-governor of Goa had challenged that a person who was in charge of RSS in J&K, he was involved in 150 crore rupees of the corruption. He was telling, and everybody knows who was the in charge. I am telling you, friends, and with a full responsibility, I am making a statement. In Jaipur, RSS is involved in corruption. In Jammu and Kashmir, RSS is involved in corruption. In Uttarakhand, RSS is involved in corruption. In Goa, I challenge that if this committee is going to be constituted under the chairmanship of a sitting judge of Supreme Court, you will find an RSS man also with property servant who is hand in glove with in this particular corruption. And as a journalist of this particular state, you are aware of who is that person, because everybody knows that who is that person. Why this is happening and why Prime Minister is silent? गोवा के लोगों का राशन जिन सरकार ने खा गई हो, उसको गोवा के लोग माफ नहीं करेंगे. The government who had eaten the grains of the people of that state, the citizens of that state is not going to forgive that kind of government. इसलिए इनको भगाओ यहां से और गोवा को बचाओ. That is what we are saying. Remove BJP and save Goa. ये राशन चोर है. They are thieves of the grain. जो गरीब के रोटी का राशन खा जाए, उसकी नैतिकता बचती क्या है? The person who is eating the grains of the poor people, there is no morality left behind in that particular human being. And that is the reason the ex-governor, Mr. Satyapal Malik, the ex-governor of Goa is saying, and I quote, Goa government, there is a corruption in everything Goa government was handling. मतलब इससे ज्यादा direct charge, I don't think there is any direct charge more than this. You might have noticed in last 70 years post independence, इससे ज्यादा बड़ा corruption का direct charge आज तक हिंदुस्तान ने पिछले 70 साल में नहीं देखा. और अनैतिक प्रॉपर्टी सावंत अभी भी अपनी कुर्सी पर बैठा है. Why? किसने उनको ये अधिकार दिया? किसने उनको यह अधिकार दिया? प्रधानमंत्री जी अभी तक चुप्पी साधे बैठे हैं. अर्जेंटीना के जंगलों में आग लग जाती है, प्रधानमंत्री जी 5 मिनट में ट्वीट कर देते हैं. बट गोवा में करप्शन हो रहा, राशन खा गए गरीबों का, कोरोना को फैला दिया. द सुपर स्प्रेडर एक्टिविटी ऑफ कोरोना वाज द अलाउइंग ऑफ द माइनिंग ट्रक्स टू मूव, एंड दैट टू इलीगली. प्रधानमंत्री चुप. 3,355 Goans had lost their lives in the coronavirus. Pradhanmantri chup. Chief Minister of Goa is directly responsible as per the ex-governor of the state, because he allowed the mining trucks to move. The Pradhanmantri is chup. Why? There is a direct allegation by the ex-governor of J&K that a RSS man was demanding 150 crore for a signature or for clearing a file. प्रधानमंत्री इस चुप. सोमालिया में भूकंप आ जाए ना अभी 3 का रिक्टर स्केल का, प्रधानमंत्री जी अभी 3 मिनट में कर दे ट्वीट. पर गोवा के लोगों का राशन खा गया जो व्यक्ति, उसके लिए कोई स्टेटमेंट नहीं. नो स्टेटमेंट फॉर दैट पर्सन हु हैड ईटेन द ग्रेन्स ऑफ द पीपल ऑफ गोवा, एंड दैट टू ड्यूरिंग पेंडेमिक. देखिए, जब समय खराब आता है ना, तो बड़े से बड़ा शत्रु भी नैतिक हो जाता है. लोगों के पास खाने का पैसा नहीं, और प्रॉपर्टी सावंत जी आप उसमें भी करप्शन कर रहे हो. आपको शर्म नहीं आई? यू डजंट हैव एनी शेम लेफ्ट विथ यू. ड्यूरिंग द पेंडेमिक, व्हेन पीपल आर डाइंग ड्यू टू स्टारवेशन, you are doing corruption. This is not what Congress party is saying. Congress party was saying for long. We had conducted many press conferences on this issue, but now the ex-governor of Goa is saying. And see the chronology. And this shows that Prime Minister's office is directly involved in that. When in J&K corruption happened, governor objected, transferred to Goa. When Goa corruption happened, governor objected, transferred to Meghalaya. What does it shows? खूब खाओ और खूब खाने दो.
Sir, when governor is so critical, why is not recalled totally? Why he doesn't transfer? The governor who is always critical.
Governor had quoted only these things yesterday. First time he told that he had informed Prime Minister also about this. Earlier he had never told this in the public domain. And I am telling you that see in next 7 days what will happen to the governor. Because that is the habit. And governor is telling that this government doesn't like people to speak truth. Governor is telling on TV that nobody can ask questions. Had you seen full interview? Governor is telling that in the current Modi government nobody is having right to ask questions. Had you seen that?
When the same governor was here, so there was issue on Mahadev. Okay, there was some disagreement between him and the chief minister. That issue was also here.
So, but he had never said that chief minister is involved in corruption in everything. He had never quoted this. He had never quoted that I had briefed Prime Minister about this. And Prime Minister is silent. And he's telling that instead of removing the chief minister, what Prime Minister did, he himself is saying, इसीलिए तो मुझे हटाया गया. That is what is his statement. And that is the reason I had played that video for you. कि क्यों हटाया गया गवर्नर साहब को? क्योंकि उन्होंने बोला प्रधानमंत्री को जाके कि ये राशन चोर प्रॉपर्टी सावंत है. That is what he said. And that is the reason he was removed. And that is the words of the governor. And governor is telling on national television that in that area near airport where this illegal movement of trucks had started, that area had become a super spreader of corona. He is telling 3,358 Goans had lost their life. I am telling you that the Goa government is responsible directly because of for their death. 1,77,915 people got infected. This is also due to the corrupt Goa government. And this is not Congress party saying. This is what their own, the BJP's functionary as well as the person who is holding a constitutional position, that is governor for the state of Meghalaya. Earlier he was the governor for the state of Goa. Before that he was the governor in the state of J&K. जहां जहां गवर्नर साहब ने बोला ये भ्रष्टाचारी है, ये चोर है, ये आरएसएस के लोग यहाँ पे भ्रष्टाचार कर रहे हैं, उनका तबादला हो गया. If governor was silent, there will be no transfer. That is what he wants to imply. That had I not pointed out that there is a corruption going on, there is a super spreader activity going on in Goa, there will be no transfer. So I want to tell friends, and this is not due to that I belongs to the ideology of Congress party. But क्या गोवा के लोग ऐसी भ्रष्टाचारी सरकार को माफ करेंगे जो उनके हिस्से का राशन खा गई? See, this is not only the amount of corruption. I will say this is highly unethical and immoral. When the people were losing their jobs, when people were moving pillar to post for grains, for chawal, for wheat, whatever the grain people are eating, at that time you are doing corruption in that. When people, their factories were closed, so they are not getting employment. Their jobs, there is a retrenchment in their jobs. There is a complete lockdown. At that time you are doing corruption. So this is not only illegal, it is highly immoral and unethical.
सर अगर आपकी डिमांड पूरी नहीं हुई तो एज अ पार्टी की तरफ से आप कोई लीगल ऑप्शन?
हम इस मुद्दे को लेके सड़क से लेकर विधानसभा तक इस मुद्दे को लेके जाएंगे. हर स्तर पर एट एवरी स्टेज फ्रॉम द रोड टू द लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली we are going to raise the questions which I had pointed out.
जुडिशियरी कोई?
Let me complete. We are going to take this to the highest level of democracy, that is the people's court. हम लोगों के बीच जाके बताएंगे कि ये राशन चोर है. We are going to take this issue from road to the assembly hall of the Goa Assembly. We are not going to leave it here. That is the demand. That immediately Prime Minister should dismiss the Chief Minister and the entire Council of Ministers, because without their direct or indirect approval of the cabinet, these type of corrupt practices can't happen. So we demand, if that is not done, we are going to agitate from road to the assembly halls of the Goa Assembly. And if that is also not done, that is the question you had raised, we are going to raise this issue to the highest democratic court of our country, that is the People's Court. जो सरकार लोगों का राशन खा जाए, उससे ज्यादा अनैतिक और भ्रष्टाचारी सरकार कोई नहीं हो सकती. जो सरकार लोगों की लाश पर करप्शन कर रही हो, उससे ज्यादा अनैतिक सरकार कुछ नहीं हो सकती. Because you are doing corruption on the dead bodies of the people who lost their lives in Goa. Because this is not my statement, this is Honorable ex-governor of the Goa state.
अभी आपने बोला इसमें एक कंपनी इन्वॉल्व है, उसका नाम आप बोल सकते हैं?
मलिक साहब को पता होगा, सत्यपाल मलिक जी को पता होगा, हमें तो पता नहीं. हम तो कह रहे हैं इसकी जांच कराइए, कितनी कंपनियां निकलेगी. दिस इज द टू. सत्यपाल मलिक जी ने क्या कहा कि 2 तो एग्जाम्पल है, पिक्चर अभी पूरी बाकी है. दिस इज a trailer only. Because what is Satyapal Malik ji saying? Goa government is involved in corruption in everything what they do. So this is why you are interested in one company. There will be n number of companies, from the road projects to the shipping projects to the construction project to the ventilator purchase to the hospital management. There will be n number of corruption which the people of Goa will find out. And that is the reason we are saying why ED is silent till now. अरे ED, CBI, SFIO, जब विपक्ष के लोग सवाल पूछते हैं उनके घर छापा मार देती है. यहाँ राज्यपाल कह रहे हैं कि जिस राज्य के वो राज्यपाल थे वो भ्रष्टाचारी राज्य है, अभी तक चुप है. Is the only work for ED is to just suppress the voice of the opposition leaders? Is this the only work of ED or CBI or SFIO or other central agencies? That is the reason we demand that immediately the Chief Minister should be dismissed, and not only him, the entire Council of Ministers, and an inquiry should be constituted under the supervision of the sitting judge of Supreme Court, a time-bound inquiry, so that we can find out what all areas there is a corruption. Because it may be 1 lakh crore or 2 lakh crore, 5 lakh crore or 3 lakh crore, we don't know. But as per the governor, there is corruption in everything what Goa government do. That is the reason we are saying that his Prime Minister's double engine means double engine of corruption. That is the reason we are saying खूब खाओ और खूब खाने दो. That is the model, that is the punchline of governance of the current Modi government. Thank you very much.
Could you please comment about your party stand on having alliance with the like-minded parties in Goa?
Can you repeat, ma'am?
Can you please comment your party stand on having alliance with like-minded parties in Goa?
Okay. Ma'am, as you might have noticed that this is a special press conference only on this issue. We will have another press conference on these issues, because till now the talks are going on. Till now we are not having anything concrete to discuss with you or to share with you on this.
Which are the parties you are in?
I am telling, ma'am, till now, till the time the concrete results are not there with us, we can't share and discuss with you.